It was supposed to be a peace mission. At least that's what Commander Alex Rennar was told when he stepped onto the bridge of the Havoc-class dreadnought, HSS Deliverance. He didn't ask questions. He never did. Orders were orders, and he'd followed them all his life. But something felt wrong this time. The kind of wrong that creeps in your bones and never leaves. The Deliverance wasn't like other warships. It didn't have sleek lines or a polished hull like the older Terran cruisers. No, this beast looked like it had been built for one purpose: destruction. Its jagged black armor looked scorched from 1,000 battles. Its cannons hummed even when idle, like they were hungry for more. And every corridor inside it pulsed with low blue emergency lights, even though there was no emergency. Not yet. Alex walked down the steel hallway, past his silent crew, their eyes down, expressions flat. Nobody spoke much on this ship. Maybe they were scared. Maybe they already knew what he didn't. "Status?" he barked when he reached the bridge. Lieutenant Corrin glanced up from his console. "We've entered the Braille sector, Commander. Target planet is locked." "Planet?" he asked, his voice sharp. "Singular?" "Yes, sir, just one. A colony moon, unarmed, not even shielded." Alex paused. "And we're attacking it?" Corrin hesitated. "Not exactly. We're deploying the dust." A chill ran down his spine. The dust. A silent killer. It wasn't a missile or a bomb. It was worse. A microscopic cloud of synthetic spores engineered to eat through metal, tech, and organic tissue alike. Once released, it would coat a world in hours. Cities would collapse, skies would choke, water would turn black, and everything alive would die slowly, begging if it could still speak. "Why?" he asked. It came out low. He already knew Corrin wouldn't have an answer. He didn't, just looked down. There was no war, at least not an official one. Humanity had signed 12 treaties after the last galactic conflict, each one more desperate than the last. But something had changed. No one said it out loud, but everyone knew. The Council back on Earth was tired of negotiations. They wanted power back, territory, fear, and they had the Deliverance to do it. They called it a deterrent. But to the rest of the galaxy, it was already a nightmare. Alex sat in his chair and stared at the screen. The moon below looked peaceful, gray and green, with small dots of settlement lights. Farmers, traders, civilians. "This is wrong," he said under his breath. No one answered. The order came through seconds later. A tight line transmission. No message. Just one word, encrypted and blinking on his screen. Release. His finger hovered over the panel. Behind him, Corrin whispered, "It's just a colony, sir." They'll barely register it in the news cycle. He didn't turn to look at him. "That's not the point." But he pressed the button anyway. There was no explosion, just silence. The launch bay hissed as the dust canisters were dropped from the ship's underbelly. Thousands of silver pods, each smaller than a football, drifting like snowflakes toward the surface. It would take an hour, maybe less. Alex stood slowly. His chest felt tight. He looked at his crew, still silent, still obedient. "We've become the thing we used to fight," he muttered. The screen shifted. The colony's surface was already changing, dark veins spreading like cracks through the ground. Lights blinking out. A tower crumbled like sand. Corrin's voice cracked. "Another mission complete, Commander." Alex looked at the ship's name painted across the window frame. Deliverance. What a joke. He left the bridge. In his quarters, he sat down and stared at his hands. They didn't shake. That scared him more than anything. He was getting used to it. 3 days later, the ship jumped to its next target. Another peaceful moon. Another order to release. Planets weren't falling in battle. They weren't fighting back. They were just disappearing. one by one, and the galaxy was watching. Terrified. 3 days. That's how long it took to move from one graveyard to the next. The Deliverance slid silently through slip space, its engines dark, its weapons quiet, for now. No celebration, no noise, no music in the mess hall. Just the low hum of something ancient and angry, buried inside the ship's hull and inside the people who worked it. Alex Rennar stood in front of his mirror, his uniform crisp, hair neatly trimmed. His face looked older than it had last week. Harder. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was survival. Behind him, the AI spoke, voice cool and emotionless. "We are nearing the coordinates of Target 09. Estimated time of arrival, 4 hours. "Target?" he asked, his voice sharp. "Yes, Commander. An approved priority objective." He turned. "Is it armed?" A pause. Number civilian population of 6.2 million. Mixed species. Agricultural and cultural center. No military presence detected. Alex shut his eyes. He'd hoped, stupidly, that this one would be different. A reason to justify the next purge. But there never was. Not anymore. He entered the bridge 10 minutes later. Corin was already there, his expression unreadable. Next to him stood Tessa Lynn, the new science officer. A quiet woman with a clean record and eyes that had seen more than she let on. "We're targeting Astara," Tessa said without preamble. "A neutral world. Non-aligned, peaceful. We traded with them last year." Alex stared. "That's impossible. Astara has no history of rebellion." "That doesn't matter," Corin said quietly. "It's on the expansion path now. Council wants to repurpose the system. Mining rights. Atmosphere rich in terbium." Tessa added, "The dust will make it easier. Strip it clean. Start over." "You mean kill everyone first?" Alex snapped. No one answered. He sat slowly in his chair and stared at the star field. The light from Astara's sun was soft and gold, like something from a dream. In his mind, he pictured the meadows, the towers carved from crystal, the families walking under dual moons, all about to vanish. A beeping sound broke the silence. "Incoming transmission, unencrypted, open channel." Corin raised an eyebrow. "It's them." "Astara." Alex nodded. The screen flickered and a face appeared. A woman, older, maybe in her 60s, with pale green skin and silver hair wrapped in braids. Her voice was calm, but her eyes held steel. "This is Chancellor Vey of Astara. We are unarmed and aware of your presence. If you intend to attack, do so openly. Do not poison our air like cowards." Alex didn't reply at first. The silence stretched. Then he leaned forward. "Why did you call?" Vey tilted her head. "To ask one question." "Go on." "Do you sleep, Commander Rennar?" The line went dead. Corin muttered, "What the hell was that?" Alex didn't speak. His hand rested near the release switch. One flick, and another world would choke in black snow. One flick, and the Council would call it another strategic cleansing. But he didn't press it. Instead, he stood. "Lock the canisters. Hold deployment." Corin stared. "That's a direct violation." "I know what it is," he snapped. "We're not doing this." Alarms flared to life. Red lights blinked across the panels. Tessa's fingers flew across her screen. "We're being locked out. Auto-deploy override has been engaged, remotely. It's the Council." "They don't trust us anymore," Corin said quietly. "Good," Alex hissed. "They shouldn't." The screen flashed. The countdown had started. 5 minutes to dust deployment. Nothing they did stopped it. The ship was more loyal to Earth than to its crew. But Alex wasn't done. Not yet. He turned to Tessa. "What's the minimum safe jump range?" "0.9 parsecs, but we'll rip the core if we jump blind. Then we rip it." The ship trembled. The AI's voice echoed again. "Commander Rennar, Abort action. This will be considered treason." He smiled without humor. "Then go ahead. Try to stop me." Tessa hit the jump. Everything went white, and for the first time in months, the dust didn't fall. The ship reappeared in the void like a dying breath. Systems screamed. Lights flickered. Smoke curled from the engine ducts. The Deliverance had survived the blind jump, barely. Its hull groaned like a wounded animal, and the stabilizers were completely offline. But they were alive. More importantly, Astara was too. Alex clutched the edge of the console, his heart pounding in his chest. Tessa sat slumped in her chair, a small gash on her temple bleeding slowly. Corin was already at the emergency panel, hands moving fast, trying to stabilize the life support systems. "Damage?" Alex barked, coughing through the smoke. Tessa wiped the blood from her brow. "Jump core's fried. FTL is dead. We're drifting." "Can we get it back?" "Not without a full dock and crew. We're stranded." Corin added, "We might have taken core backlash. Radiation pockets near Engine 4. I'll send drones to contain it." Alex leaned back in his seat. The AI was silent now, disabled. He'd ordered a manual override just before the jump. A desperate gamble. It had worked. The Council couldn't control the ship remotely anymore, but the cost was steep. They were alone, floating in deep space. "We'll fix what we can," he muttered. "Then we figure out what's next." Tessa turned slowly to him. "You know what this means, right? They'll hunt us." Alex nodded. "Let them." Hours passed. The crew worked in silence, repairing what systems they could. They were fewer than most thought. Only 35 souls ran the Deliverance. The rest was automated. But every one of them had followed orders until now. Some had done it blindly, some reluctantly, a few even with pride. That was over. When Alex stepped into the mess hall later that day, the crew was gathered, some seated, others standing in the dim light, waiting. They knew what had happened. Word traveled fast on a ship like this. Corin stood beside him. His voice was low. "You should speak to them." Alex looked out at the faces, hard, tired, and silent. Then he stepped forward. "We're not going back," he said simply. Murmurs rippled through the room. Some nodded. A few looked down, uncertain. One voice, sharp and angry, rose from the back. "So what now? We rot out here until the Council finds us and blows us apart?" Alex didn't flinch. "You have a choice. Anyone who wants to leave, if we reach a habitable system, I'll let you off. No charges, no judgment. But if you stay knowing this. We don't serve monsters anymore. The Council turned us into weapons. I won't be part of that again." Tessa stepped up beside him. "There's more," she said, pulling a small chip from her pocket. "Before we jumped, I downloaded the target list." The room went still. Tessa continued. "They've marked 72 planets, colonies, trade hubs, even sanctuary worlds, all scheduled for dust deployment in the next 6 months. Full extermination. No military value, just real estate and minerals." A low curse echoed from the crew. Alex met their eyes. "This isn't war, it's slaughter." Another voice, this one quiet but firm. "You said we had a choice, so what's your plan?" He didn't answer immediately. He let the silence speak for him first. Then, finally, he said, "We go after the other warships." That landed like a punch. Even Corin stared. "There are 5 more Havoc-class ships like this one," he continued, "each one carrying dust, each one under Council command. If we can stop even one of them, disrupt their missions, warn their targets, we save lives." "And the Council?" someone asked. "We expose them," he said simply. "The galaxy still remembers the old wars. They won't stay silent if they know what Earth is doing." Another silence, heavier this time. Then slowly, one by one, heads began to nod. Not all, but enough. Corin leaned in close and whispered, "You're really going to start a war against Earth?" "No," Alex said. "I'm going to stop one before it kills everything worth saving." They spent the next 5 days floating in darkness. The Deliverance was a crippled beast, its FTL drive offline, long-range comms severed, and its engine barely limping at sublight. But Alex didn't waste a second. Every crew member now had a task: rebuild, recalibrate, or rearm. They might have been stranded, but they weren't done. He met Corin and Tessa in the war room on the 6th day. The lights above them flickered weakly, casting long shadows over the holographic table in the center. On it blinked the star map of the sector, scattered with red dots, each one a known warship route. "There," Corin said, pointing to a system marked as Saros 3. One of the other Havoc-class ships, the HSS Oblivion, is scheduled to pass through here in 8 days, escorting cargo, probably dust. Alex frowned. "Do we have enough power to make it?" Tessa shook her head. "Not through slip space, but we can piggyback on a gravity slingshot. Use the binary suns in the Jera belt to push us within range. We'll arrive just in time, if nothing breaks." "And if something does break?" Alex asked. "We drift into the star and die screaming," Corin answered, flat as ever. Alex allowed a thin smile. "So the usual." They made the call that night. Everyone aboard was briefed. No more secrets, no more quiet obedience. They weren't just a rogue crew anymore. They were rebels against Earth itself. That kind of truth deserved honesty. Alex stood in front of the crew once again, the hum of the failing engines deep beneath his boots. "We're not trying to win," he told them. "Not outright. We don't have the power. But we can hurt them. We can make sure the truth gets out. We can warn the next planet, and the next one, until someone listens." No applause, just grim acceptance. The plan was simple. Ambush the Oblivion before it could deploy its dust. Not destroy it, disable it, hack the transmission logs, pull every secret the ship carried and broadcast it on every open frequency. Proof of what Earth was doing. Proof the galaxy couldn't ignore. But the universe doesn't let heroes win easy. As the Deliverance curved around the binary suns on the 7th day, its hull groaning under the stress, the alarms screamed again. Corin was the first on the bridge, scanning the sensors. Tessa wasn't far behind. "What is it?" Alex asked, striding in, hair cropped short, eyes sharp. Corin didn't look up. "Not just the Oblivion." Tessa pointed at the map. "There's another ship in the sector, smaller, scout class, fast, probably tailing us since Astara." "Council watchdog," Alex muttered. "Or worse," Tessa said. "It's broadcasting a stealth beacon." The room went silent. That meant only one thing. Reinforcements were coming. Earth knew they'd gone rogue, and now they were being cornered like prey. "We have to move now," Alex ordered. "Skip the ambush. Hit the Oblivion while we can." "But our systems," Corin started. "We'll hold," he cut in. "They don't have a choice." They throttled forward, pushing the ship beyond its limits. The lights dimmed, and the hull screamed again. But it held. On the 2nd day of approach, the Oblivion came into view. An angular black fortress, even larger than the Deliverance, coasting near a small asteroid belt. It hadn't seen them yet. Alex stood over the tactical display, heart pounding. His voice was low, steady. "We only get one shot." Tessa adjusted the targeting arrays. "There's a vulnerability in their rear engine, standard for dust carriers. If we knock it out, they'll lose propulsion. They'll drift." "And the dust pods?" Alex asked. "They won't launch without a hard signal from Earth. We cut that too." The ship crept closer, silent as death. And then the stealth beacon lit up behind them, The scout had caught up. "Incoming transmission," Corin said. Alex narrowed his eyes. "Play it." The voice that came through was calm, female, cold. "This is Admiral Yelna of the Earth Council. Commander Renar, you are ordered to stand down. Return the deliverance or be treated as an enemy of humanity." Alex stepped closer to the console, leaning in. "Tell the Council," he said, voice low and sharp. "Humanity doesn't follow monsters." He ended the transmission. Then he turned to his crew. "Fire." The first strike hit the Oblivion dead in its thruster array, slicing through the armor like a blade through silk. And just like that, humanity's warships were at war, with each other. The battlefield bloomed into fire and chaos. The Oblivion reeled from the first strike. Its rear thrusters burst apart in a chain reaction of plasma and fire, leaving it tumbling in space, helpless. But the moment of advantage didn't last. From the far side of the asteroid belt, the Council scout ship roared into view, weapons already charging. "They brought railguns!" Corin shouted. "Fast, armor-piercing. If they hit the core—" "They won't," Alex snapped. "Keep moving. Hit the Oblivion's comms array. We cut them off. They can't call for backup." Tessa's fingers blurred over the console, teeth gritted. "Target locked. Firing in 3, 2. The blast lanced through space. Direct hit. The Oblivion's central dish shattered, sparks spraying into the black. Alex could almost feel the scream of its systems as the link with Earth was severed. One warship silenced. But the scout wasn't waiting. A sharp impact rocked the Deliverance, sending crew members tumbling. The lights dimmed again. Sparks flew from the ceiling above the helm. A deep, metallic groan rolled through the ship's bones. "We're hit!" someone yelled from engineering. "Deck 4's hull is breached. Emergency seals holding, but barely." "They're targeting weak points," Corin growled. "They know this class of ship. They know us." Alex clenched his jaw. His mind worked fast. The scout was too fast to hit with conventional artillery. But it had one weakness. It couldn't take what it dished out. If they landed even one solid hit— "Tessa, reroute power to the forward cannon. All of it. But the shields— Do it!" Alex barked. "We won't need shields if they're dead." The lights flickered again, dimming further, and a low hum began building from the underbelly of the ship. The forward cannon charging for its only shot. One shot, one chance. "Steady! Steady!" The scout twisted and darted between debris and wreckage like a wasp, its next strike already charging. It veered left, then right, then came straight at them. "Now!" Alex roared. The cannon fired. There was no sound in space, but the explosion lit the void like a newborn sun. The scout ship tore open in an instant, its body cracked in half by the force, debris scattering like bones. It didn't even have time to scream. Silence fell across the bridge. The crew looked around, breathless, hearts racing. Tessa slumped in her seat. "Holy hell, we actually did it!" Corin was already checking sensors. "Oblivion is still drifting. Engines dead, no communications. They're not going anywhere." Alex let out a long breath he hadn't realized he was holding. But he didn't smile. "Scan for survivors," he ordered, "and prep a boarding team." Corin raised an eyebrow. "We're going in?" "We need their logs," Alex said. "Their mission files, dust inventories, transmission history. If we're going to expose the Council, we need proof they can't bury. That ship is full of it." An hour later, Alex led the boarding party himself. He stepped into the ruined corridors of the Oblivion, sidearm drawn, his boots crunching over shattered glass and smoldering tech. The air inside was thick, hot, metallic, and laced with the scent of burnt plastic and something worse. Silence. Bodies floated in zero gravity, some still strapped to their consoles, others mangled, their uniforms soaked in blood. He pushed past them, trying not to look at their faces. These weren't his enemies. They were just soldiers, following orders, just like he had. They reached the central data core. Tessa plugged in her interface, eyes scanning the readout. I've got it, everything. Deployment schedules, dust logs, command directives, encrypted but readable. She paused. What? Alex asked. Tessa looked pale. There's something else, a new file, just uploaded, minutes before we attacked. She handed over the tablet. Alex read the header. His heart stopped. Project, Wasteland Harvest, Stage 2 initiated. What the hell is this? Tessa's voice was barely a whisper. They're planning something worse. A deep chill ran down Alex's spine. Then the lights inside the Oblivion flickered once and went dark. Corin's voice crackled over comms. Commander, you'd better get back here. We just picked up something big coming out of slip space. Alex turned to the viewport just in time to see it arrive. Another Havoc-class warship. But this one was different, sleeker, newer, painted in jet black, with crimson insignias glowing like veins across its hull. The HSS Purifier. And it wasn't coming to talk. The Purifier didn't slow down. It emerged from slip space with brutal precision, weapons armed, engines roaring like the wrath of a god. Alex barely made it back aboard the Deliverance before the first barrage hit. The ship shook so violently, he slammed into the wall of the docking bay, his helmet cracking. Pain bloomed across his shoulder, but he pushed through it, ran through the smoke-filled halls, past crew shouting orders, past the hiss of pressure leaks and flickering lights. The bridge was chaos. They've disabled our starboard batteries, Corin yelled. Hull breach on deck 6. We've lost 5 crew already. They're targeting our life support next, Tessa added, pale but calm. This isn't suppression fire. They want us gone. Alex grabbed the command console, steadying himself against the shaking deck, and stared at the tactical map. The Purifier was faster, stronger, cleaner. No scars, no battle-worn plates. The Council had sent their new toy, probably captained by someone fresh, obedient, and cruel. How the hell did they find us so fast? He muttered. Tessa answered without looking up. The scout ship. It was a beacon. Alex swore under his breath. Of course, the moment that scout had seen them veer off course, it had sent out more than a warning. It had tagged them with a tracking signature. The Council hadn't just come to finish the job. They'd come to make an example. Options? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Corin's jaw was tight. Head-to-head, we lose. We're slower, older, and already damaged. If we stay here, we die. Can we run? He asked. Tessa's fingers flew. I can get us a half-jump. Dangerous. Might tear us in 2, but it'll put us near Vega's asteroid field. We lose them in there, we might live. And if we don't, Tessa glanced up, we get vaporized. Alex stared at the display again. The Purifier was getting closer. His gut screamed that this was more than just an execution mission. This was personal. They wanted him. The traitor. No, he said at last. We don't run. Corin blinked. What? We don't outrun it. We outsmart it. He zoomed in on the battlefield. The Oblivion still drifted behind them, dead in space, but filled with volatile fuel cells and unused dust canisters. Alex turned slowly to his crew. We rig the Oblivion to blow. Silence. You want to make it a bomb? Tessa asked. We make it a ghost. We leave just enough signature behind that it looks like we're still aboard. Then we trigger the core remotely. When the Purifier comes in close to finish us... Corin's eyes widened. We send it straight to hell. Alex nodded. We cloak the Deliverance, drift out with the debris. Buy us time, maybe a few days. Long enough to regroup, long enough to send that data dump. It was insane, risky. It would cost lives if they mistimed even a second of it. But the crew nodded. Because the truth was, none of them wanted to run anymore. They worked fast. Drone crews swarmed over the Oblivion, planting charges near the core. Tessa rigged the signature distortion arrays, copying the Deliverance's ID to the Oblivion's nav log. Meanwhile, Alex composed a short message on a tight beam broadcast. Not to Earth. Not yet. To the neutral worlds. The silent ones. The ones who had watched but said nothing. He loaded the data Tessa had found. Every classified directive, every recorded order for planetary erasure. Every piece of Earth's monstrous plans. He added just one line of his own voice, steady and cold. You were right to fear us, but not for the reasons they told you. The Purifier closed in. 5 kilometers. 4. 3. Corin stood by the detonator, hand steady. They're hailing us, demanding we surrender. Alex turned his back to the screen. 1 kilometer. He nodded once. Corin pressed the button. The Oblivion erupted in a ball of fire that swallowed half the stars in the viewport. The shockwave punched outward, shredding everything within 5 clicks. The Purifier didn't have time to evade. Its shields flickered once, twice, then collapsed. The blast tore into it, ripping open its side, spilling fire and twisted metal into the void. The Deliverance, cloaked and drifting behind an asteroid cluster, watched the scene in silence. Tessa whispered, "We did it." Alex didn't answer. He just stared at the wreckage, his face unreadable. Behind them, the transmission beacon blinked green. The truth was out. But war had just begun. The galaxy did not stay silent. 3 days after the transmission, the stars buzzed with noise. Coded messages, emergency signals, diplomatic protests. Word of Earth's atrocities spread like wildfire. The names of the exterminated worlds scrolled across neutral networks, their dead no longer hidden beneath council red tape. Astara, Kellen Prime, Torth's Reach, all gone or marked for erasure. And now everyone knew. Some planets responded with horror, some with disbelief, but others, those who had always suspected, responded with fury. The Deliverance drifted near the Vega asteroid field, its hull dark, systems quiet. The crew waited, braced for the retaliation they knew was coming. But instead, something unexpected happened. They got a message. Corin picked it up first. Encrypted burst transmission. Origin point, Lauren Station. Independent. Outside council control. Alex stood behind him. Play it. The voice was male, gruff, scarred with experience. This is Captain Vex Tharn of the Grudge Keeper. We saw your broadcast, thought it was a trick. Then we saw the Purifier burning. That changed things. Static cracked. Then the message continued. You're not the only one sick of Earth's lies. We're moving. You're not alone anymore. Stay dark. We'll come to you. Tessa looked at Alex, stunned. He's ex-military, Earth's old command, retired after the first Galactic Treaty. Alex nodded. They tried to silence him years ago. Looks like he's still got teeth. For the first time in weeks, hope flickered. Not much, just enough. But it didn't last. By the time the Grudge Keeper arrived, so did another fleet. Not Earth's. Worse, the Jarl, a reptilian species once conquered by humanity, now living in exile across the rim systems. For decades they'd hidden, rebuilt, whispered. The Council had always assumed they were broken. They weren't. Tessa picked up their warp signature first. 6 ships, no communications, no ID, no transponders. Position? Alex asked. Corin answered, grim. They're circling the wreckage. The Purifier. They're scanning for dust. A deep silence fell. Tessa looked up sharply. They're scavenging. Why? Corin muttered. Why would they want that stuff? Alex's voice was hollow. Because they saw what we did to Astara, and now they want to do it back. They all looked at the screen. The Jarl ships began towing pieces of the Purifier's hull. One by one, they vanished into slipspace. Corin's voice was quiet. We just started something we can't control. The next day, Vex Tharn and his crew docked. The man himself stepped off his rusted destroyer with a limp and a blaster on each hip. His face was half covered in cybernetic plates, one eye glowing red. He didn't salute. "You're the one who nuked a warship with another warship?" he asked, voice gruff. Alex met his gaze. "And I'd do it again." He grinned. "Good answer." Tharn wasn't alone. 3 more independent captains had followed him. Pirate lords, smugglers, ex-marines, each one bringing weapons, ships, and a hatred for Earth that had only needed a spark. And now the spark was lit. In the war room, surrounded by criminals and old soldiers, Alex laid out the map of Earth's known operations. "Stage 2 of the Council's plan is underway," he said. "We don't know what that means yet, but we know they've accelerated dust shipments. Dozens of colonies are in danger." Tharn pointed at a system near the edge of Council control. "Threx 9, used to be mine. Council kicked us out, sterilized the soil. We go there next. We hit them where it hurts." "We're not just fighting Earth anymore," Tessa said. "The Jarl have the dust now. If they figure out how to replicate it, they'll do worse than we ever did," Alex finished. Silence. Then Tharn grunted. "Then we stop both sides." Corin raised an eyebrow. "So we're what now? Rebels? Pirates? Peacekeepers?" Alex stared at the blinking stars on the holomap, some bright, some already gone. "We're the ones left to clean up humanity's mess." His voice dropped lower. "And if we have to burn a few more ships to do it, then so be it." Outside, the stars burned cold, and war was coming for all of them. The galaxy teetered on the edge of a blade. 2 weeks after the broadcast, the war had no name but already had 1,000 victims. Dust storms tore through outer colonies. Civilian freighters vanished in council-controlled zones. Jarrell warbands, high on stolen human tech, hit supply routes with surgical precision, always leaving one survivor to send the message: "This is justice." Inside the Deliverance, the tension was a constant hum. Alex hadn't slept more than 2 hours in a row. The alliance with Captain Tharn and the Independents held, for now, but it was fragile. Pirates had short patience, and even shorter loyalty. Still, it was all they had. Tessa walked into the command deck, her face pale, eyes hollow. "They're going to use it," she said without preamble. Alex looked up from his console. "Who?" "The Jarl. We intercepted a signal. They're calling it Red Sky Protocol." Corin leaned forward. "Target." Tessa took a shaky breath. "Terra Nova, one of the old sanctuaries. 6 million people, mostly refugees, all human." The room went cold. Alex stood slowly. "How long?" 3 days. They're bringing in repurposed dust pods from the Purifier wreck. Crude delivery system, but it'll work. Alex's jaw tightened. He stared out at the stars, his reflection a ghost in the viewport. "This ends now." They moved fast, the makeshift fleet of rebel ships, independents, and smugglers regrouped in the dark between stars. 5 vessels total, including the Deliverance and Tharn's Grudgekeeper. Outgunned, outnumbered, but not outwitted. The plan was simple. Intercept the Jarl convoy before it reached Terra Nova. Destroy the dust, disable the carriers, no prisoners, no mercy, because this time, humanity was the one trying to stop extinction. The battle began near the ruins of Coral Station, a long-dead trading hub now nothing but twisted metal. The Jarl arrived first, confident, their ships sleek and black, shaped like blades. They hadn't expected resistance. They hadn't expected him. Alex led the charge. The Deliverance, patched and angry, slammed into their formation like a wolf among sheep. Its cannons, though old, roared with terrifying precision. The first dust carrier exploded in a spray of black vapor and fire. "Keep the pressure!" Alex shouted over the comms. "Target the engines, don't let them run!" Tharn's Grudgekeeper dropped mines across the escape path, cornering the Jarl like rats. The rebels fought with fury. No formations, no tactics, just raw vengeance. But the Jarl weren't afraid to die. One of their ships broke rank and dive-bombed the Deliverance, smashing through a flank turret before detonating in a suicide blast. The bridge shook. Alarms screamed. Tessa hit the deck, bleeding. Corrin slammed his fist into a console to keep it alive. "Shields are down," he shouted. "We lose another hit, we're done." But Alex didn't slow. He turned the ship straight toward the final dust carrier, its pod already armed, countdown ticking. "Distance?" he barked. Tessa, coughing through the smoke, raised her head. 50 clicks, 2 minutes to release." Alex took a deep breath. "Ram it." Everyone turned to him. "Commander," Corrin started, "you heard me? If that dust drops, we lose everything. We ram it. Full burn." Tessa's voice broke. "That's a suicide run." Alex didn't blink. "Then tell my story." He locked the controls manually. The Deliverance shuddered, engines howling. The final moments moved in slow motion. The Jarl carrier tried to veer off. Too late. The Deliverance slammed into it like a vengeful god. The explosion was blinding. When the smoke cleared, half the battlefield was debris, and out of the wreckage, limping, on fire, bleeding air, floated the shattered remains of the Deliverance's lower decks, its bridge torn open to the stars, but a signal still blinked. "Target eliminated. Dust neutralized. Terra Nova is safe." Alex Renner's voice, recorded, calm. "We were monsters once. We remembered too late, but we did remember." The fleet fell silent, and then the rebels cheered. Across the stars the signal played. On moons, on space stations, on ships docked at silent ports, and the galaxy listened. For the first time in a century, they saw humanity not as tyrants, but as something else. Broken, repentant, dangerous, but willing to change, and far, far from done.